Coming up on Need to Know, candidates in the race for Rochester mayor are painting a picture of what city schools might look like under their administration. Now that we've heard some of their plans on the show, we hear from the school board president. Van White weighs in on their proposals, the superintendent, and his vision for what's next in city schools. That's ahead. Also on the show, our relatively warm forecast this week doesn't change the fact that Lake Ontario remains at record high levels. Those impacted, mounting fears, and next steps later on the show. And we'll meet a young person utilizing her own life experience for the sake of racial tolerance and understanding. She's the latest to join our Top of the Class series. Stay with us. Need to Know starts right now. Rochester School Board recently passed a nearly $900 million budget. District spending has a few critics among Rochester's mayoral candidates who are calling for more accountability and transparency. One person who has spent much time dissecting what's working and what's not in city schools is Board President Van White. He joins me at the table to talk about the mayor-school district partnership, the current state of our city school system, and more. And welcome back to the show. It's good to have you here.
Good morning.
So we have had all the candidates in this year's race for Rochester mayor here at the table, and they've talked about their plans in terms of education for city school students if elected and how closely aligned they would work with the district. We'll hear some of what they had to say in just a moment. But I wanted to ask you, Van, how significant is that City Hall, mayor, school district partnership in terms of advancing education for city students?
I mean, just in the last two administrations, you can see the difference. Bob Duffy took a very I would say anti-school district approach, supported legislation you recall calling for mayoral control. It caused for a very tense relationship. There was no working together at the level of 131 West Broad Street and 30 Church Street. A lot of tension. Mayor Warren came along, took a totally different approach, has not really pushed the mayoral control thing. There's been some undercurrent of it, but really has not. Instead, she's focused on reading, parental engagement and involvement, and community schools. So I think who gets elected, who serves at 30 Church Street can make a huge difference in district relationships. All
right, well, let's take a look. We've got a short video so you can hear some of the thoughts, perspectives, and even a few proposals from some of the mayoral candidates. Again, they all sat here at the desk and they shared some of their thoughts. So we've got a short video to show you.
Sure.
I stress the city school district because I think for our educational system to be successful, it has to be a collaboration between City Hall and the city school district. It can't be taking over the school district because I think the mayor's responsibilities are too great to run the city and the school districts.
Well, not taking over the school district, but do you think that the mayor should have a more prominent role, considering the fact that we haven't seen some of the advancements that we've heard so much about over the years?
I think in terms it should be a partnership, and I don't think we've seen that for a very long time in the city, where it was a partnership between City Hall and the city school district.
In what ways do you plan, if elected, to hold the city school system accountable?
Spending is incredibly important. I spent an entire year holding the city school district accountable on spending. I exposed administrative bloat. I exposed other kinds of spending issues. Certainly the mayor can use her bully pulpit to talk about spending issues in the city school district. I think that's appropriate, but I don't want to have an antagonistic relationship. I want to have a relationship with the city school district in which we do everything we can to promote it, to reduce poverty, and to get families to try this system.
I know one big thing was to get teachers, to draw in more teachers to the city of Rochester. You said exceptional teachers. How did that go?
Well, we are in the process. I just had a meeting with the deputy superintendent, and we had changes at the school district. We talked to Teach for America, and you know, one of the things that we had charter schools that was open to it. You know, the city school district at the time was not necessarily open to it, but I think that I just talked to the deputy superintendent, have a meeting with the superintendent on Monday, and I believe that they are on the right track to really go after and attract additional teachers visiting HBCUs and other schools that they haven't visited before. And I think that that's very important, and we're working together to do that.
In Rochester, the city has refused to give the school district any more money since 2004. As a result, I mean, you're not expecting to buy a car for the same price you did in 2004. 12 years ago, And we're still giving them that same amount of money. We have basically deprived them of 30% increase in that funding, which isn't the whole total cost. We will have to find a way to increase and make that up so that we can have the arts programs, the music programs, the preschool programs that actually make a difference and keep kids in school and get them better results.
Once we increase the tax base of the city, we can get rid of that Big Five control from the state. Once we come out from underneath of that Big Five control, we can do like a Fairport or
And you mean, and when you say the Big Five, you mean in terms of funding from city?
In terms of funding, in terms of a paid school board where we cannot, as a people, control the budget process, that sort of thing. Because we just realized in the news that the budget has been not very well held to accountability. Right. So we need to take back that power over our city school district and provide a better form of education for our students.
They need to focus on getting competent teachers out there and working on getting their parents involved in their kids' education. Another thing that I would like to say, you know, many Democrats always talk about transparency. How about this for transparency? Instead of hiding the school taxes in the city taxes, how about they collect their own taxes so that people can see the real failure and the real cost of our school district?
Van, I know these were very short snippets from interviews, but after having seen them, is there one thing, I'm just saying one thing that stands out to you as a potential positive for the city school district?
I think everybody agrees. It sounds to me like we're all in the same rowboat facing the same turbulent waters. Everybody's agreed that everybody should take on an oar but not necessarily grab at anybody else's oar. And what I mean by that is I don't see anybody saying, oh, let's do mayoral control. I think everybody acknowledges that there are significant challenges facing the district and the city, and that everybody needs to be in this boat together, rowing in unison. That is encouraging to me. I think if you go down that road of, listen, let me grab your oar, I'll get my oar, and I'll grab everybody else's oar, you just sort of spin around in circles. So that's encouraging news to me.
Anything concerning, anything that you think that was said that was misguided?
No, you know, I get it. While they would all be concerned, there's actually, I think I counted about 6 of them. There's 7 members of the Board of Education. We could use all those voices, whether they win or not. It's encouraging to hear people come up with different ideas. Like I heard some person talk about the fact that we're a fiscally dependent district and that our money has basically been frozen at $119 million for the last umpteen years, and it hasn't changed. We've increased the valuation of property. We've even increased taxes, but so the city gets more money. 30 Church Street gets more money, but we don't. So I heard a lot of interesting ideas. There's not a bad idea that I heard amongst them, actually.
Well, it's interesting. We've heard so much from the mayoral candidates when it comes to their plans, if elected, when it comes to assisting and partnering with the city school system. It's been difficult to get the superintendent in the studio to sit down with me. I've an unofficial poll with my colleagues in the media, and they've also the same thing, minus the DNC. Given that, as someone who is so accessible, Van, as you are, when it comes to district matters, is it concerning that we haven't been able to sit down with her as of yet?
You know, what I've learned about Barbara since she's taken that position is she's not anxious, if you will, to get in front of the cameras. I have explained to her, and I think she appreciates it, even in advance of me talking to her, that it is very much a public job, and that given the struggles that we have with our numbers, our data, there's a crisis of confidence, and they do need people, multiple voices, to speak up. But the interesting thing about this is, and I'll do whatever I can to assist you in this effort, but people need to understand this. There's no Superman at 131 West Broad Street. There's no Superwoman. It's not one person that's going to turn this district around. As I said, you got 6 candidates there running for mayor. One of them is going to win. We still need the other 5. You need all 7 board members. You need you. We need voices throughout this community. So I will do what I can to encourage Barbara to talk more. And I think she's getting more acclimated to the role. She spent a lot of time trying to understand what's going on. But I want people to understand this. Barbara is not going to turn the system around. It's going to be the mothers, fathers, aunts and uncles, teachers, preachers, everybody across across this community to make a difference.
Well, since she is the person at the helm in the district right now, is there something that you believe, after talking with her, that you would say, yes, this is something that she plans to implement, that she wants to be accountable for, that you think could help move the district forward?
Well, again, hopefully we'll have a chance to talk about it. But, you know, we've opened up, the board has initiated an effort to open up 2 incubators of success. At East High School, we have the U of R running that high school. We have Geneseo running 19 school. So we believe we've created incubators of success to develop best practices throughout the district. What Barbara is working on is the fundamentals of the district, making sure that across the board, across all of our schools, because there's some 50-something schools remaining after you take out East High School and number 19. So Barbara is spending a lot of time making sure that children are having the resources that they need, the reading teachers, the social workers, making sure that everything that is required for our special needs students is provided, our bilingual population. So she's making sure that we're providing for the fundamentals across the board. When you add what the University of Rochester and Geneseo are doing at East and 19 respectively, and what Barbara is doing fundamentally across the board, I think you'll see a district that people will see signs of hope.
Let's talk about SUNY Geneseo and School 19. This is something that you were really excited about. Some of your board, you just recently voted on this, the board. This is also pending approval from the State Education Department.
Absolutely.
You were excited about this. There were some of your colleagues on the board, one in particular, not as excited as you.
No,
Why
that's
do
correct.
you think that this can work?
Well, you know, again, it's based on this fundamental notion that it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to raise a community. And so what we've done at East and 19 is engage an entire community, in this instance represented by major universities. But as you know, for example, the University of Rochester, they represent thousands and thousands of people. They're the #1 employer in this region. They have a social work school. They have a medical school. They have an education school. All those issues, all those people in that community can bring their resources to bear at East High School, which at the time that they took over was our worst performing high school. Same with SUNY Geneseo. They intend on creating a teacher-led, power-led school, community-led school, bringing in resources from across the community. We firmly believe that these 2 models will develop as incubators for best practices that relate to community engagement, parental engagement, teacher empowerment, and that is what we believe will make a difference. So I got to repeat about this thing about Barbara. I'm not so much concerned that she's not necessarily available to every media person, because to the extent you speak to Anju Sika, who is the dean of the education school at SUNY Geneseo, or Sean Nelms, as you know, at number 19 school, to the extent you speak to East High School, to the extent that you speak to the parents, the community leaders that drive and address challenges that our children face, I think people will get the message. It's not one person at 131 West Broad Street or one person at 30 Church Street that will turn this around. It is the individual players and community leaders that will do that.
Let me ask you, some of your board members not in favor of this partnership, SUNY Geneseo, School 19. What's to fear?
Well, you know, the irony is, this is a repeated theme with me, I think people really believe that there is one person that can turn this around, that there's a Superman. You know, remember the movie Waiting for Superman? I don't believe that. I do not believe that. And that's why the model that we've established at East and 19 are representative of this notion that it takes really a community to do this. Why do I think some members, and I'm maybe trying to read some of their minds, and they're not the only people that might not support this, is because they're used to this notion that the superintendent, the Superman or woman, will swoop down and save us. That's what people believe, but that's not even what's in the statute that created boards of education. We're the ones. We're the community. We're represented by the community. There's an election taking place right now where people get to elect their community representative to sit on the Board of Education. The law says that we drive curriculum, personnel decisions, building placements, cafeteria ladies. We make all those decisions. So I think that's what is at the base of the concern. People are afraid that we're challenging the traditional notion that one person, Superman, can save a community, and that's not the case.
Right, and I can't let you go. Just tell me one thing going under the radar. There's a phone app that you want to share. We got 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
It's not a lot, but tell me about this.
Come September, a parent will be able to pick up their smartphone, punch in their code, and figure out whether Johnny is actually sitting in the classroom, how they're doing on their ELA scores, how they're doing on their math scores, determining whether they've passed enough Regents exams to graduate. So she doesn't call me, Johnny's parent doesn't call me 2 days before graduation and say, my son's not graduating. She will know a year in advance by simply pressing a button.
Fantastic, very good. Rochester School Board President Van White, thank you for joining me today. And City School Superintendent Barbara Dean Williams is scheduled to make her first appearance on the program in mid-June. So be sure to tune into that broadcast broadcast. That's on Thursday, June 15th at 8 p.m. right here on WXXI TV. Historically high water levels are still afflicting the shores of Lake Ontario, and change likely won't come until early June. That's when lake levels are expected to crest. The flooding has affected hundreds of properties since March. Veronica Volk is a Great Lakes reporter and producer for WXXI News. She has been tracking this story for the past 2 months, and she joins us now to explain what's going on and what's to come. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Len.
So, Veronica, why is the question everybody is asking? Why are the water levels so high?
Well, I think it actually just goes back to this past spring. We had a historically wet spring and a lot of rainfall.
So you spent the past 2 months reporting on this. I heard one of the interviews that you did. You talked to a resident in Port Bay, and she said, bring some attention to this because we really need help and we really need it fast. What else are residents saying? What are they experiencing?
Well, it's actually really hard to watch sometimes. I mean, there are people on the south shore of Lake Ontario from Edgemere Drive in Greece all the way out to Sodas Point who are experiencing a lot of different damage from this flood. I mean, you have waves coming up and eroding people's shorelines away so that they're losing parts of their homes. You have water coming up into people's crawl spaces and damaging their houses that way. So, you know, they really feel like they've been forgotten in a lot of ways in this story.
It's interesting. So I want to talk to you about this because we've got, and you mentioned this, we've got the flooding in Greece, Sodas Point along the South Shore. And then you were in Montreal reporting as well in late April. There's flooding there as well. Connect the relationship between the flooding taking place.
Sure, this is really important. I think it's something a lot of people don't understand, which is Lake Ontario is regulated, and it's regulated through a dam on the upper St. Lawrence River. And that dam separates Lake Ontario from the lower St. Lawrence, where you have places like Montreal and Quebec in Canada. And the more water that we let out of Lake Ontario, the more water they have in their water systems. So what we experienced this past spring is people trying to keep a balance between the flooding in Lake Ontario and the flooding down in Montreal. And what I saw down there was pretty intense as well, pretty extreme flooding in Montreal.
So explain that. Talk about what you did see there.
So Montreal is interesting because it's an island and it's surrounded by 2 different water systems. On one side is the St. Lawrence River and on the other side is the Ottawa River, and both of those systems were flooded. You know, because of this wet spring that I was talking about before, they were experiencing a lot of rushing water and a lot of just being overwhelmed by that water. So in some places you had water 2 feet up high in the streets and just people, you know, being evacuated from their homes, hundreds of people in Montreal.
So you said we've had such a wet spring. There's what I learned from your reporting is that there has been a lot of finger pointing in relation to why this is happening. You mentioned the wet spring. The Army Corps of Engineers also blames heavy snow and rain. Meanwhile, others directly affected by the flooding, including some politicians like Congressman Chris Collins, they're blaming the International Joint Commission, which altered the way water levels on Lake Ontario are regulated. What has changed and why are people pointing the blame at them? Well,
first of all, I think people are pointing the finger because they're upset and they're scared. And you know, there has been this change going on and they want somebody to blame. So what we need to know about Plan 2014 is that it was put in place in order to more naturally mimic the natural fluctuations of Lake Ontario, which means you're going to get higher levels, you're going to get them more often, and you're going to get them for longer periods of time. And I think people heard that and they said this is exactly what they said would happen, this flooding. But what they don't understand is that you know, the regulations are fluctuating maybe an inch or 2, and that this, you know, this flooding that we're seeing right now is really, it's really unique, and it's really because of a collection of circumstances and not this plan.
And you say it's unique. How likely is it that we will see something like this again in 2019, 2020?
That's a really fair question, because I think, you know, when you talk to climate scientists, you hear that we are going to be experiencing more extreme weather, wetter springs, warmer winters, all of which came together to create this circumstance. So it really is kind of like a touch and go situation, and we're going to have to see what our new normal is.
And for those affected right now, is this a wait and see type of a thing, or is relief somewhere on the horizon relatively soon?
Well, the flooding in Montreal has subsided, so they have increased outflows at that dam that I was talking about earlier, and we are experiencing drier temperatures. I mean, right now, right? Yeah. We're having warmer weather, so we expect that the water will continue to recede, and there will be a downward trajectory. But again, Mother Nature could throw a curveball.
Very good. Veronica Volks, Great Lakes reporter and producer for WXXI News. Thank you so much for your time and for your coverage on this issue. For the latest in-depth reporting on the flooding of Lake Ontario, be sure to follow Veronica's stories online, WXXInews.org, and click on Great Lakes Today. And now we continue our Top of the Class series on Need to Know. The series introduces you to high school students in our community, not only working hard in the classroom, but also trying to make our community and our world a better place. The young person joining me today has had a significant positive effect on race relations in her school. That's the criteria for students recognized for the Princeton Prize in Race Relations. Today, I am joined by Iman Muthana. The World of Inquiry student is a runner-up in this year's Princeton Prize in Race Relations. And welcome to the show. It is great to have you here.
Thanks.
So I just want to start off by saying we launched this series, again, to not only highlight young people in the work that you're doing in school, but also the impact that you're making on the community, and also to learn about what matters to you, what matters most to you. So just to start off, what are some of the social issues that are personally important for you?
Well, basically, all social issues matter to me, but specifically, I am leaning more toward the freedom of religion as well as women's rights.
Both incredibly important, but go ahead, sorry to interrupt.
No, and they matter more to me because we're in a country where freedom of religion is valuable, and we need to make sure that everybody is having this. And women's rights are one of the most important things because women's rights are facing a lot of violations of rights. So it's just something that means a lot to me.
And I want to touch upon this, speaking of women's rights and religious freedom. So as I mentioned, you're a student at World of Inquiry. You were one of 3 runners-up for the Rochester Princeton Prize this year. You've lived in the U.S. for 4 years, and you are one of only a few young women at your school who wear a hijab. And that is, for people who don't know, the beautiful headscarf that you're wearing right now. So explain just a little bit, why did you want, because you started this World Hijab Day at your school. Describe why that was an important event for you to do.
Well, it was the first 2 months me in the school. It was like I was a new student there, so I wasn't having a lot of connections with the students. So I wanted to have the event just to create more connections between me and the student and be included in the community. So I had the idea of the event since it's a movement worldwide. So yeah, I had tried to have it, and we had a couple of scarves donated to us, and we wanted the students to try to support those who choose to wear the headscarf. And it was a great time for me. It was as an introduction to the school and realizing my similarities with the students. And even though our differences make us stronger, there is a time when we need to realize that we are similar in such a humane way.
Yeah, very true. Very, very true. So I want to talk about this because you said some of the headscarves were donated. Yeah. So what did you ask for World Hijab Day at your school? What did you ask the students and the teachers to do on this particular day?
Well, first of all, I had to write a letter to the principal asking for permission to hold the event. And then there was an email sent to teachers telling them that we will be holding the events and if they would donate us some scarf. And also the parent-teacher crew donated us some money in which we bought the carnation for the boys to participate as well. So the students were just asked if they would like to wear a carnation for the boys and a headscarf for the girls to support these Muslim girls. And after they wear them, they just ask some questions, and it was just one of the nicest time in the school for me, because I can feel that we're really comfortable asking us and learning about each other.
That's great. And I understand, so tell me if I'm wrong, more than 300 students and teachers wore headscarves or the carnations and the ribbons to show their support for Muslim women around the world.
Yeah, that was in the first World Hijab Day. We had more students participating in the second World Hijab Day that we had just recently in February.
So how many, so you had 300 the first time, about how many the second time then?
I'm not really exactly sure about the number, but there were more than last year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Talk about, because you said that, you know, this really allowed you to show that there's strength in differences, but also that we're a lot more alike than we are different. What were some questions that students had for you that you think were really answered because of these events, the World Hijab Day?
Well, one of the questions that was mostly repeated was, did we have the choice to wear? And I would say for most of them, they have the right to choose it. I'm not sure if others are really forced to wear it, but for us, we had World Hijab Day in which we support the ones who really choose to wear it, not the ones who are forced to wear it. So students were asking, are we really forced to wear the headscarf? In which I have to explain, no, it's a right. It's your right. When you feel comfortable, you would wear the headscarf as a symbol of modesty and you believe and faith in you, within you.
Very good. So do you have plans to do this again?
Oh, yeah.
Would you change anything or would it be exactly the same?
I think it would be exactly the same.
And I know that I understand there was some reaction on social media and in the news. Not all the feedback that you received, or this event, I should say, received was positive. But how do you think, aside from that, how do you think that an event like this that you organize in your school, how does it create better cultural awareness, and not just in school, but also in our community?
I think we actually had World Hijab Day just to educate the students and the community as well, and to promote awareness and understanding of the fact that Muslim girls choose to wear the headscarf and not letting them be judged based on a piece of fabric on their head. So yeah, this was one of the most important things that our school had done to promote understanding. We also had participated in a lot of other events that try to engage students to learn about all the different diverse backgrounds that many students in our school came from. So it's part of educating and letting others to understand that there's something that we're not all the same, and there's something within us that makes us unique, and we need to learn this about each other.
I also understand that you participated, you were a representative from your school in the recent countywide Summit on Race for high school students. So again, just another way to really share that message of cultural understanding and tolerance. How would you, if there's a piece of advice that you would give to someone your age, another high school student who might watch this, how would you say to them or encourage them to better get involved in something like this, like what you're doing?
Just to know their surroundings, just to know that there's a lot of people who are different and not the same as who we are. We need to ask others who they are before we start judging them based on what the media or other stereotypes are being spread about who they should be.
All right, well, we are out of time, but a special thank you to our guest for the Top of the Class series, Iman Muthana. No doubt you will hear her name again and again in our community. Thank you for your work, and thank you for all that you're doing around racial tolerance and understanding. And that is it for this edition of Need to Know. I'm your host, Helen B. and Duty Hofer. Thank you for joining me tonight and throughout the weekend. I'll see you next Thursday right here on WXXI TV.